Hey, howdy. Hey, folks. It is Mrs. Johnson. We are talking irrigation today because about my garden in the springtime. It is November of 2025. I am back home for the year and I acquired um, seeds from the hardware store that I work at because we don't sell seeds past September. And so I'm going to put a garden in and spend too much money on it. But that's okay. Uh, so we're going to talk about some things and how to estimate your irrigation needs and kind of plan for that. Um, so first things first, uh, what I'm going to do is right click on my info sheet because all this has some of the information that I need, all of the information that I need for irrigation. But I don't need all of this. So, or to kind of plan my irrigation. So I'm going to right click and then go to move or create a copy. I'm going to hit create a copy. Ta-da! And it's going to say info too. And I can double click that in Excel and rename it. And I can rename it irrigation. Ta-da! Right, so what real information do I need? Well, I don't need really any of this information to calculate irrigation. I don't really need breed or days to germination. I don't actually. We'll leave days to germination for now. So I highlight and then right click, delete. What am I looking for? Oh, this too. This is my planting dates. We might pull some of these at some point because then I can nerd out and calculate how much water I need throughout the season, but I don't think I'm going to do that today. I think I just want to find out how much irrigation that I need, which means I don't need the, well, I'll leave them there, I guess. I do need row spacing and depth and plant spacing. I don't need plant weight or package weight or anything like that. I don't need, which one of these is accurate? Oh, hold on. Definitely not this one. I need more than 2 baby carrots. So we're going to delete that one. And the delete. Okay. So, we'll leave the days to germination, days to harvest, row spacing, depth, plant spacing, desired plants. Because and so when we talk about irrigation, we're looking at a couple of things. We're looking at the type of plant that we're watering to estimate when we're setting up an irrigation system, looking at the type of plant that we're planting, and, how often are we going to plant in the same spot? Do we want something temporary? Do you want something permanent? In terms of like irrigation material, I'm probably going to use quarter-inch drip emitters and half-inch drip tubing if I can find it. If I can't find half-inch drip tubing, for like the drip works, like the drip hose, the like classic black hoses, I might end up using like 5/8 hose, like garden hose, uh, drip line, but we'll see. So I want to take those things into consideration. So what am I building with? What am I watering with? What am I watering? About how long am I gonna need to do that? And how far apart do I need to water things? And how much am I watering? So, I saved myself some time and actually downloaded a cool, oh, see, recommended irrigation for vegetables in Utah. Okay, this is for Utah, so not California, where I live. Who made this? Oh, uh, Utah State University Extension. Okay, that's who made this. So then I'll just come up here. And all I'm going to do is create a sheet or a new column called minimum inch per week, max inch per week. Ta-da! Uh, let's see. I now have basil in here. Basil needs, and all I'm going to do is go through and kind of copy paste what I have. So like the basil I'm going to copy, the beans I'm going to copy, the broccoli I'm going to copy, the carrots I'm going to copy and paste over. I'm not doing cucumber. Um, but like I'm doing peas. Is there corn on here? There's not corn. There's calendula, but not corn. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna pause the recording and do that really fast. So PRB. I'm back again. So, I Googled some things, but I also did a fancy little thing and I sorted by species instead of hunting and picking. And I got estimates for how much inches per week that I needed. And that's great to know for like any plants that you're planting, but you also need to know how often you're watering. Are you watering once a day? Because that's what fits in your schedule. Are you watering once every couple days? Is it automatic to where you can water like whenever you want? Um, so, let's kind of go through the list because frequency is something that I can guesstimate from my experience on how much I would like to water a day. Um, and it's like once a see, daily, daily, uh, daily question mark. Pretty sure corn needs to be watered daily. Tomatoes are watered weekly. Beans are daily. Lettuce daily. Carrots daily. Carrots daily. Lettuce daily. 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 So like pretty much everything but the tomatoes is weekly. So I can copy paste this. And then I can highlight and drag down. And then I can copy two of them. Control C. Highlight the ones I need and Control V. And then ta-da. Now I know how often I should be watering. And with this, I can kind of get an estimate of how much I'm watering. If I wanted to do the math, I could do total maximum amount of water used. Actually, I'll show you. Water in season, right? If I wanted to calculate that, I could hit equals. I could do a function of my max inches per week. Divided by parentheses, days divided by 7 because there's 7 days in a week. Ta-da. So max in a season for no, it's not divided by. It is multiplied. I know because I'm going to use, if I'm using 2 inches in a week, I definitely need more than 2 inches. So I need about 11 inches, 11 and a half inches a week, or through the whole season. Right, I could do that for the whole thing. And then I could reduce or increase my decimal point here. Ta-da. Right? And then I can kind of estimate how many inches. Now you'll notice that with this little cheat sheet here that it talks about like gallons per minute. Somewhere. Let me show you. Oh, yeah. See, this also talks about some of the stuff that I'm going to go into. Inline drip formula. Points for submitter formula. Right? This talks about emitter spacing, gallons per hour per 100 feet, gallons per minute per 100 feet, inches per hour. And so we measured in inches. And so we will eventually, at some point, get to convert from inches to hour to gallons per minute using a cheat sheet like this. And so, nice thing about this little resource is that it also talks about like cucurbits. Cantaloupe requires more water as it begins to flower and set fruit. Irrigate to apply 1 to 2 inches per week. Reduction in water immediately before harvest can improve fruit flavor. So these are things that you would know by talking to experienced farmers, by practicing for a while. As I said, where's Dad? Radishes require regular watering, support development water to provide 1/2 inch to 1 inch of water weekly. Moisture fluctuations can cause root cracking, slow leaf development, and contribute to hot, bitter roots. Stress during the first 4 weeks of growth often lead to premature flowering and low yields. So this is stuff that like would be helpful. Like the tomatoes. Tomatoes should be watered deeply and infrequently, applying 1 to 2 inches per week. Tomatoes are highly sensitive to irregular watering, which can cause blossom end rot, a dark leathery spot on the bottom of the fruit, and fruit cracking. To avoid blossom end rot and problems related to soil moisture fluctuations, apply mulches on top of the soil around the base of the plant. Right? And so these are things that we can kind of think about and start to understand once we practice some. But, and now that we know water inch per season, then we can kind of deem what things we want to water with what, right? So, watering system. Like baby spinach, probably going to be a drip. Basil, probably a drip. And I know these because spinach, technically, we're planting 8 inches apart, but we're planting 1 inch together. So I can do a drip system and get really close. Like corn, I'm planting 6 inches apart. I can do a drip. Tomatoes, I'm only doing 2 of. And I know that they need deep, heavy watering, so I can do emitters there. Actually, hold on. We're going to turn this to tape. I'm going to use drip, tape. Tape. Spell tape right. Come on, Mrs. Johnson, we've got this. Okay. Emitters. Bush beans. I am growing 4. And they are, no, I'm growing 10. No, still wrong. I'm growing 5. They're 4 inches apart. 24-inch rows. I could probably put that on a tape and save some money. Lettuce, definitely tape. Carrots, definitely tape. Tomatoes, because I'm only growing like 6 tomatoes, we're going to put them on emitters. And because they get watered once a week, and that's the only thing that I'm probably going to be watering once a week, I can put them all on the same schedule. I can put them all on the same zone. Cutting lettuce. Tape. Kale. Tape. Tape. Beans, also 4. We'll do tape. Tape. Tape for everything but the tomatoes. Ta-da. And I can hide everything, sort and filter, custom sort. Sort by watering system. Ta-da. Actually, sort and filter. Custom sort by. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to custom sort by watering system and then add a level to then sort by maximum water. So what this does, right? Then I can start creating zones. And zones in irrigation are like what I want watered when. So I can label, because I said I can put all the emitters on one because I know when you start creating zones, you're gonna want to think about what gets watered similarly, first off, like in terms of schedule, in terms of how much water it needs, but also like water pressure. So if I'm pushing like 100 gallons a minute in a regular garden hose, probably not going to happen realistically. You can kind of dig deeper and figure out how much water pressure and stuff you have, which I will at some point. Um, but today we won't dive too far into that. Um, but I can start pairing things together and thinking about it. Um, and going, yeah, I want to put all the tomatoes together. And then lo and behold, I can, I know in terms of like my garden map, right? If I put all the tomatoes together, I wanted to put all the lettuce and things together. I wanted to put all the corn together, right? And look, I have 100 plants of corn, and they're gonna need 2.5 inches a week per plant. So I'll probably give corn its own zone and water at a different time than everything else. So then I'm not pulling excess water pressure. The nice thing about the zones is I can water my tomatoes at 8 o'clock for an hour. I can then water my corn at 9 o'clock for an hour and still have the water pressure that I need to water everything. Let's see. And then I said, let's see, this whole section gets like 2 inches of water a day. It's like lettuce and stuff. There's a little bit of lettuce up here. So what I'm actually going to do is assume, because I don't like sour lettuce, and sometimes when you underwater it, it gets sour. So we'll just sort and filter, custom sort. Okay. So then that puts all the lettuce together. Um, and then I'm going to start thinking about what gets watered similarly on top of what I'm probably gonna plant together. So like the peas definitely gonna be planted together. And then I could probably do a couple more. Now I have two beans and they get a little more water a day. So I could probably put those all in the same zone because I'm probably gonna grow them in the same place and manage that together. Basil. How much basil am I doing? I'm just doing one plant of basil. No, I'm doing 5 plants of basil. Hmm. It's 1.5. Then everything else that I have. There we go. Okay, so if I put the basil and the kale with the radish, because I'm doing successions of radish, that should be okay. Enough. And then I'm doing also successions of lettuce, spinach, and carrots. So I'll do all those together. That leaves me with 5 zones. So then I can sort and filter, custom sort, add a level, sort by watering. Actually, delete level, sort by zones. Ta-da! And so this is gonna, when I sort by zones, it's gonna tell me what all I'm planting or what all I'm planning to plant together or water together. Tomatoes all watered together. Corn watered by itself because I'm growing so much corn. Peas and beans all together because they're as similar. I think they're all legumes. These things also planted together. Everything else also watered together. And then from here, once I get closer to it, I'll start using. Where'd it go? Oh, I'll start using these formulas that we talked about. Once I find a product that I like to farm with. Come on, open up. Once I find a product that I want to irrigate with, I will go through, right, drip tape application rate and time needed to apply half inch of water to a 100-foot row, assuming 2-foot row spacing. Now I'm not super worried about this 2-foot row spacing in my garden because I have a small enough garden that I'm probably not gonna do more than 100 feet watered at one time. Um, Actually, I can calculate that. Feet squared watered, right? How would I calculate that to know that I'm not getting over that 100 feet? I would do plant spacing by row spacing by plants. All that needs to be divided by 12 because it is in inches currently, right? So that's 1.5 feet. Ta-da! And I can do that all the way down. Again, I can change the decimals with this button. Right, so 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet, 600 feet. This is a 600 feet. Snap peas, 120 feet. Snow peas, 120 feet. Right, and so when it comes to these recommendations, right? Half inch water to 100-foot row, assuming 2-foot row spacing. I can keep that in mind of like, this is the estimate for generic drip tape. This is the estimate for generic flow emitters. Oftentimes when you buy irrigation product, it comes with that information specifically from the manufacturer. So once I get there, I will nerd out with you guys and I will show you how to do that. Without further ado though, I'm gonna stop like uber nerding out about irrigation and let you go for the night. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope we learned something both about Excel and irrigation. I know it's like really boring to look at Excel for a while and like kind of talk about these things, but it's important to talk about and important to learn because if you can't plan it, you probably can't farm it well either. So without further ado, I hope you have a great day. Bye.